Oh my God.
Spade, do something intelligent.
All right. Hope everybody's doing well. What up, Michael Moody, West Haven, Gonzo? Thanks guys for stopping in. All right. I'm going to be covering something that kind of came across my desk. Well, and I kind of like stumbled into this, to be fair. And I'll tell you guys the correlation of how I found myself kind of following this, and then also what I think it is, and then I tagged a few channels that are involved in it, as well as brought this more to my attention. So I appreciate everybody stopping in early. Get my camera and stuff on here. All right. So for anybody that's been following this recently, there was an event that went down in Dearborn, Michigan, and it had to do with a gentleman. Gentleman's a loose term, going from Florida to Michigan to go out and I think his sole intention was to start kind of a kerfuffle, I guess. And he tried to burn a Quran, and he then I think he then slapped the Quran with bacon or something like that. Okay, so person in question that we're talking about is a guy that goes by the name of Jake Lang. If you follow him on any social medias or if you've seen his podcast, he got brought up in discussion the other day when we were talking about something else, and I was convinced maybe this guy's like FBI or something, or he's some kind of a plant, and I wasn't actually sure who he was. Is he mentally ill? No, he's not mentally ill, but there is a all right, yeah, let me keep explaining. So he came up from Florida. He's also going to be running for senator in Florida against Marco Rubio. He was also a January 6th person that got in fights with officers at the January 6th insurrection, whatever you want to call it. And for the person that sent me the thing about the Constitution, talking about you can't run for senator or something like that if you were involved in an insurrection, I think that was some of the reason that the verbiage was used. I don't know if after they were pardoned of the insurrection itself, or if they were just pardoned from jail. So I don't know if he's actually charged with insurrection or how it works. But basically, I came across this guy because recently, like within the last, I don't know, month and a half, I started going to the ICE facility in Chicago, and there was a person out there. I ended up talking about this over on OG Mumbling Nick's channel last night. We were talking about some of the ICE facility stuff. So if you guys didn't get to see that interview, feel free to go check it out. Some Dabbleverse related stuff. But they asked me why I went to the ICE facility out there. And I was like, well, there was this girl that was standing out there with a I support ICE sign or an I heart ICE sign. And I just saw her getting shouted down by like grown men. And then I also was at the same time as that was getting shared info from a gentleman by the name of Cam Higsby. And a lot of people that were following what I was doing were also sending me his stuff, and family members were sending me his stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll meet him while I go out there. And so I met Cam Higsby as well. And then Cam ended up having a good encounter with somebody by the name of he goes by Jake News 4800 on YouTube, and you would see a lot of his content. He covers the ICE facility and stuff like that. I'm in some of his videos. I've talked to him a few times. I'm a member on his channel. He's a real nice guy. But him and Cam ended up hitting it off. Cam went and bought like a blunt or something, like a Swisher, and the two of the guys had a cigar together, and then kind of like settled the beef. But at the beginning of their encounter, Jake was very pushy towards Cam and didn't like him being there, and they eventually like sat down and talked about things and worked some stuff out. So I tagged Cam and Jake News in this video because I was going to bring them up, and I'm also going to share some of Cam's stuff on here. So with that being said, Cam went to the Dearborn, Michigan event, and he was pepper sprayed or maced in the face. And I looked at the video, and when I was watching the live stream, he kept saying, "Oh, Jake's over there farther up in the crowd. Jake's over there farther up in the crowd." And he knew who the guy was. And I didn't really know who he was talking about. I was like, "Oh, did he fly Jake out to Michigan with him for like security or to help him out?" I was immediately thinking it was Jake News. I had no idea. What up, West Haven? Good to see you. And when I watched a little bit more, I kept seeing this guy. It was like this haircut. He had this vest on, and he had like a really clean cut haircut. And I was watching him, and then after Cam got pepper sprayed or maced, he was on a bus, and that was Jake's bus that he was apparently using when he came up from Florida. And it's Jake Lang that came up from Florida that I said was running against Senator Rubio in Florida, and came up to start this, like, I don't know what you would call it. It was just like a march against Muslims. And so I'm like, all right, let me figure out who this guy is. And I'm watching it more and more, even because I watched everybody tried to separate themselves from Jake Lang after all of this stuff went down in Dearborn. And when that happened, I was super confused. I'm like, all right, let me watch this video more. What is he doing? There was a point when there was a bunch of Muslim protesters on the outside of this fenced-in area, and Cam and Jake and some of the officers were on the inside of that area. And I heard Jake start talking about how the white people in there looked very Aryan and this and that, and he was very much coming off like a white supremacist. And that's what I was getting from him. Like, he was there to infuriate people and convince people that Muslims were bad. And so I have to premise this with, like, I don't support white supremacy or any of that, or hate towards another group for no reason or based on the color of their skin or anything like that. What up, Senate? And even Nick Shirley was at this event, and he came on to Jake's bust for a moment and interviewed Cam about what was going on. And that's when Jake grabbed the Quran and bacon, and he was like slapping it against the Quran and like walking around trying to get people all riled up. But I consider this very much similar to like burning a flag or burning any religious book or something like that. I think there's a balance to freedom of expression or freedom of speech that should be protected in this. I don't think anybody should act violently against them. I just think it's a lowball way of getting attention on a matter. So fast forward a little bit, and I actually don't fast forward a little bit. Go back about 1 week. A week prior to that, Cam Higsby did a sit down at a college and was talking about how the Quran is not how would you phrase it? Not suitable for the United States. And he laid out a lot of the reasons, whether it was because of Muhammad's relationship with a 6-year-old girl that he used to beat. He didn't consummate the marriage, and this is something that Muslims will argue even till today. Apparently, he didn't consummate the marriage until the child was 9 years old, and apparently that makes it more acceptable. There's also hadiths inside of the Quran that strictly state that women don't have the same value as men, and there's more on top of that are just not good as a whole. And so I feel like a lot of right-wing people are getting sucked into this weird bubble. And so I was digging more into this, and then Jesse, God, what's his name? Jesse on Fire came across my feed, and he was covering this, and he had also was covering something on Candace Owens at the same time, and so he did a deeper dive on this Jake Lang guy, and it's Edward Jacob Lang, and it turns out that he's actually his brother was former IDF. He had his bar mitzvah in Israel. He's actually from New York and ran this like sketchy like modeling agency thing that a lot of people complained about. And then at some point moved from New York to Florida. And then, like I said, traveled from New York to get involved with the insurrection. And then I assume after the insurrection ended up in Florida. And this guy just has very strange ties. And so I'm going to cover a few of the things. Some of them are going to involve the let me see here, the Michigan mayor, I believe, and what he governor. The Michigan governor was sending threats to Cam Higsby as well as Jake. So I'm trying to conflate, like I can't tell if Cam Higsby knows this person, like, and he made a public post like separating himself from this incident specifically, and he was like, "No, I don't just believe the views of everybody else, and so please take these things differently. Like they're not just one thing." And there was also a new charge that was put on some people in Florida related to doing something very similar to this. And I think it was at a parking structure, and we'll cover that as well, because they're getting felony charges against them for freedom of speech, basically. And all of this is kind of boiling into a strange crossover that I haven't been able to quite figure out. So let's go over a few things. And I will double down on the fact that I really do think Jake Long is a white supremacist, or he's race baiting people into following whatever path that he's putting forward, because I can't really figure it out. But I will read a little, let me read a little bit of his bio as well. Let's see here, because I did AI and they kind of laid it out pretty specifically. Jake Lang refers to multiple individuals, but the most recent news coverage focuses on Jake Lang, a far-right Republican U.S. Senate candidate from Florida, which I talked about. He's going to be running against Marco Rubio. Lang is running as a Republican for the U.S. Senate seat in Florida, and has a campaign committee registered with the FEC. He has described his run for office as calling to continue to bear the torch with Donald Trump to, I assume that's mark America's golden age. I was going to say make America great again. He was involved with January 6th. It talks about he previously charged with multiple offenses related to the January 6th, 2021 Capitol riots, including assaulting law enforcement officers with a deadly weapon. He refers to himself as a January 6th political prisoner and hosts a daily news podcast from jail. His trial has been delayed pending a Supreme Court ruling that could affect his charges. Recent controversy in November 2025, Lang traveled to Dearborn, Michigan for an anti-Islam march where he attempted to set a copy of the Quran on fire and taunted counter demonstrators with bacon. The incident caused a scuffle and drew widespread condemnation from communities and political leaders. Other activities. Lang also reportedly attempted to form his own paramilitary militia from inside prison in 2021 and has echoed the Great Replacement conspiracy theory in his public statements. So it's about as white supremacist as you get. And then talks about other people named Jake Lang. So let me pull this one off. Let's get back to this. Let me catch up the chat a little bit. He's one of Rocco's friends. No, he's not one of Rocco's friends. He definitely does have main character syndrome, but I think his job is to get attention on himself. I think that's the whole point of all of this. Talking about rabbit holes. Yeah, a little bit. Good to see you, Cursed. Jacob, it's me, Ralphie Bachman. Who is this hussy who's claiming my grandman? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You know, that's what happens when you live life on hard mode, as people describe it. But you get to a certain point where you're just like, I don't know what to tell you, man. You got to make better decisions. Like some shit just doesn't work out as well as you would think it would. I'm probably going to have to do multiple instances of covering this. So let me pull up the next thing we're going to go over here. And this is with Jesse on Fire. If you guys haven't seen Jesse on Fire, go over there. He covers a lot of stuff. All you got to do is make sure to subscribe to him. He's an interesting fellow. And we're going to kind of pause and go as we go. Boop, boop, boop. All right. All right. I'm trying to cover up most of it. That way we can kind of pause it and not get too flagged on this. But I also tagged Jesse in this because he just came out with this 2 days ago, I believe. And this is somebody is interviewing Jake Lang. This is the guy that you've seen. I don't know how long. This is from a few months ago. And he has Austin Metcalf's father on the phone. And I'm not going to go into the Austin Metcalf story, but basically Jake Lang is going to try to race bait him to make him think that it's a black versus white situation when it's definitely not. And here we go.
Main event, right? So I think it would be fair to say that when it comes to, white nationalists, you don't expect them to have certain types of heritages, right? Like there's nothing wrong with being black. There's nothing wrong with being white. There's nothing wrong with being Jewish. There's nothing wrong with being.
Obviously, I think Jesse's just laying some stuff out to kind of lay the groundwork for
Mexican.
this.
There's nothing wrong with being anything, right? But historically, if you want to jump into the game of, hey, I'm a racist, like I'm trying to drive a racist narrative, traditionally, there are certain assumptions you can make. Like if you are a member of certain organizations, you're probably not black, right? And
yeah, there's certain groups that would definitely put you there. Do you know who Little Man Jay is? No, not offhand. You'd have to give me a little bit more about it.
Generally speaking, in those same organizations, you're probably not that other ethnicity that I mentioned, the chosen people, right? So just something to think about, right? As we're.
Yeah, you're probably not Christian if you're pushing certain narratives. And this is something that Jesse is trying to lay out because this actually does follow along the Candace Owens threads of what's been going on and how Israel might have a tie to this gentleman as well.
Going through this particular, and not just like the ethnicity, but like, you'll see. And this guy ended up on my purview when this happened. This was in the Austin Metcalf and his twin brother, Carmelo Anthony. They were at the track meet. Black kid stabbed the twin, killed him on the spot. And this guy,
Jake, which I think Jesse is about to say, is trying to sow divide based on the color of people's skin.
Okay, Jake Lang, he's there with the movement, the Protect White Americans rally, okay, that he's leading. And he has Austin Metcalf's picture on the top of their bus as the martyr for white lives.
So, and he's also propagandizing Austin Metcalf's death. And I assume that's why this gentleman came up with Austin Metcalf's father on the phone to clear all of this up. And let me reiterate again so that YouTube doesn't flag me for this. I don't support the things coming out of this gentleman's mouth. I think he's actually put here to sow division, and I don't think it's actually. I don't even think he is a. I can't even tell if he's a white supremacist. I really think he's doing this to bring attention to himself.
Lives as blacks keep on killing them dead in America. Okay, and this is Austin Metcalf's father on speakerphone with Jake Lang, the international intelligence plant, most likely, who is pretending to be a Christian white nationalist and trying to destroy our country.
Yeah, because I would, the more I see from Jake, I don't think he's Christian. I know Cam Higsby just kind of accepted Christianity in his life, and they have crossover when it comes to certain things, when it comes to Islam, but they definitely aren't following the same path here. And Cam Higsby, who's been called like the Timu Charlie Kirk, he doesn't blame Israel for a lot of things. And he doesn't think Israel has as much involvement. He says as a lot of other people think they do. And including Charlie Kirk's assassination, Cam also worked or is a part-time worker from a reporter from TPUSA. Sometimes they contract him to do certain events.
So watch this.
Creating custom clothing labels with TapStitch is easy. Go to your branding tab, choose your label.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jake.
Hey, Jeff, it's Jake Lang here. Jeff, first of all, my entire heart rests in your hands. I would be in my position, not even if somebody even knew your son, but somebody that shares the same understanding. I grew up as a 17-year-old young white man too, and I grew up in fear of my life around black people because they were killing and robbing people around me all the time.
So, and I don't know exactly where Jake Lang grew up. I know where his family's from now that I've looked into it a little bit more. And I know their involvement with the IDF. I think there's a good argument that they're probably from Israel, or at least his father or mother is. He used to battle with some kind of addiction. He's got a bunch of drug charges that I haven't been able to figure out totally. I'm still looking into that. Yeah, I know it's behind the chat. I want the chat over it when it comes to copyright issues and stuff like that. I just don't want to get flagged immediately for it. So I do know it's behind the chat. I don't want it really big on the screen. If you guys want to see this full video, I have it linked in the description. You can go to Jesse's page and watch it. I'm just using this as a as kind of a crossover.
Remember that. Just remember that, okay?
And I don't understand, as I was a father, you could sit idly by and not condemn the culture that killed your son. There is an epidemic problem in this country, and your voice could be one of the loudest voices in this country, but you've chosen to recoil out of fear and continue the suppression. Why will you not stand with me and with the rest of the people? We're not calling for racial divide. We're not calling for hatred. We're saying 350,000 attacks on white people by black people.
That is a call for racial divide. If you're pointing at people because it's the color of their skin is why they're committing these issues, that is creating a racial divide, and then getting people to join your movement of the racial divide. That's exactly what he's doing
here in this country is wrong. Why can't you stand that and say with that? Maybe you can. Would you be willing to stand by me in a press conference or in an individual interview and talk about this issue that is larger than Austin at this point? God rest the beautiful young man's soul that would have been one of our strongest voices if he was still alive today. Yes, I am, sir.
Now, I don't know how well you can hear it. The audio is not super great. I can turn it up, but his father's going to, Austin Metcalf's father is going to respond. He just said, "Are you done?" And it's not going to go the way Jake thinks it's going to go and or wants it to go. And like I said, Jake's already, or like Jesse said, Jake's already got Austin Metcalf's photo on his bus, that same tour bus we were talking about that's been traveling around.
are part of the fucking problem, my friend. You're trying to create more race divide than bridging the gap. I do not condone anything you do. You do not have any fucking...
That's called white guilt.
No, let it talk.
My son, let me finish. I give you your time. You take my son's face off your website. I am not associated with you.
Yeah. Take all of this shit off. You're starting to cause divide. I don't want to associate with you. I don't want your shit on my on your website. I don't want it on your bus. None of this his father wants to be involved with.
You're creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness, sir.
Yeah, so that moment right there, I was like, wow.
And then because he didn't agree, immediately he's part of the problem as well.
Oh, you're creating more Austin Metcalfs because his father doesn't want to partake in a race war that you are trying to create, right? Trying to create a race war, right? So then this also happens. Okay, so this is November 19th. So what, a day or 2 days ago, right?
And Asmund Gold was the one who covered this part a little bit. Asmund Gold, I should probably tag him as well. I want to see where the original source comes from for this. Jacob, will you be? No, I'm not getting involved in any of that drama, dude. He's making stupid decisions, and you guys are all just perpetuating it. I think he's a great guy, but Granny, to be specific, I think he's a great guy, but he makes a lot of dumb decisions, and yeah, he just doesn't listen to anybody else, and then wonders why he's in fucking crazy situations. I get it. He lives life in a hard mode. Good for him. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
I saw this and I was like, wait, is that Jake Lang again? Okay. So Jake Lang leads anti-Islam protest in Dearborn, attempts Quran desecration. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, what would have been driving?
And it was weird because it looked like he was live streaming the whole time when I was actually watching this. He was actually in the middle of this crowd getting like pushed around by other people. No, I'm not going to Dearborn right now. And this is actually what we're covering is this guy that was at Dearborn, and he was only there in order to start this fucking drama. And there's a pretty good plant. He's an Israel. I mean, pretty good possibility that he's an Israeli plant, but we'll continue. But yeah, they're going to go over a little bit of the Dearborn stuff here.
This, right?
An anti-Islam protest in Dearborn attempts Quran desecration. Uh-oh.
I believe they're going to cancel the 6:30 City Hall meeting because everybody's fuck out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he says. All right, so skip this 9-minute fucking ad.
So there he is again, right? Saying that's a new term I've heard from the guys that are trying to bait the blacks with their, but I'm not even gonna say the word because I think YouTube's probably gonna slam it. But yeah, there he is again, dude. Jake Lang.
And honestly, to be fair, where I actually stumbled into this, Chris, was when I started developing my views on Islam as a religion. It was actually based on some of the early work that Steven Crowder was doing. And I saw the backlash when and because he beat South Park to the punch, he dressed like fucking Bob Ross and painted a picture of Islam or Muhammad and his like 9-year-old wife. And he's like, yeah, you got to give her a little purple around the eye. She's been punched a few times, blah, blah, blah. And don't get me wrong, I really don't think this religion is compatible with the United States in a lot of ways. And that's why I try to separate myself from this. But you can bleed through white supremacy inside of this to sow division. And I don't think it'll send the right message. I think people need to be vigilant about making sure that they're not just being propagandized for bullshit. You have to be able to separate the two.
An anti-Islam, like Islam, really? What have they done recently? Like, what's new? What's new, right?
And to be fair, I don't think Jesse covers this enough. Most of the people serving in office, and this is actually happening in Plano, Texas, and it's also happening in Dearborn. A lot of people in Texas, I don't know if it was a governor or who came out recently and is actually speaking against it, because all of these people running for office and actually holding office are in violation of the Texas Constitution when it comes to what they allow. Important political question. How many? I don't know what that means. All right. Great political question.
And so I smelled a rat right there. I was like, nah, because all I had heard recently is how there's a certain area of the world that has a pretty, non-diverse ethnic population there. And they've been having a pretty tough time in the media, like their PR war has been lost. And I heard people saying like the only thing.
And there is a lot of people in the Muslim community and the Islamic community that are actually preaching towards putting in Sharia law in their local communities. And that's where it has to happen, is that at a local level, and it has to be built up. But I think every religion can be allowed as long as it, just like anything else, as long as it doesn't infringe on other people's rights.
That could get them back on track is like a big attack from extremists of that, Muslims, right? Like extremist Muslims. And I'm like, huh. And then I saw this, and I literally went like this. This is all I knew about Jake Lang. This, and I knew he had been involved in January 6th. And I sent it to my investigator, and I was like, give me everything that you can find on this dude. Okay. Give me anything you can find on this guy. And,
but how much more sense would it make if he actually wasn't a Christian and he actually was a Jewish person that was trying to sow divide in what was going on? And what if there was a connection with the Michigan governor and what's going on in Gaza? And oh gosh, I'm probably going to have to make this 2 parts. I don't have a lot of time tonight, but we'll continue a little bit further.
Let's just say one of my best calls ever, because I'm telling you the truth about all my background. I just was like, show me everything. Because I was thinking to myself, this feels like maybe it is what exactly it ended up being. Because check this out. So here he is, January 6th at 8:04 p.m.
I don't think Trump would do anything about it. So, and this is where like a lot of people probably separate with me. If you saw what Bibi Netanyahu did when it came to talking about Gaza and rebuilding Gaza, they were basically under the impression that 80% of Gaza had to be destroyed before they could rebuild there. And sure enough, after the war and everything that was going on after October 7th, is that what it was? And the hostage situations and all of that, they were able to come to a peace agreement right after 80% of Gaza was destroyed. Trump was also involved in joked about, maybe didn't want to be involved in it, but joked about it, and made claims about building on the Gaza Strip as well. And all of a sudden, Trump's able to fetter a agreement with Bibi Netanyahu, Bibi Netanyahu arguably could go down for being involved with war crimes. It's very much there. And this is what I mean, is you have too much of these white supremacist ideology bleeding into an actual thing. And now what's going to happen is anybody that states facts that are an actual thing that are outside of the Jewish community, then they're now going to be considered a Zionist or anti-Semitic, depending on which side you're falling on. And it doesn't necessarily, they have crossover, but they're not the same thing. It's very clear that they're not the same thing.
Okay, you can see that right there. I was the leader of liberty today. Arrest me. You are on the wrong side of history. Huh. So he was a January 6th agitator. A January 6th, like an actual.
And I only knew one person that was actually at January 6th that was an agitator who took the police officer's uniform off their back And I actually met him through fucking the SSP community. He ended up doing shows with Rocco. Him and Rocco ended up having a freak out together. And like I said, this kind of like the strange crossover I had with running into some of these people.
Agitator. So like someone who is trying to cause a problem. As we've always been saying, that like no real people wanted to do that, right? And he's like, come arrest me, right? Because that would be an incredible way into white nationalist movement, right? You know what I mean? I'm just saying. And then we have this one, right? I watched a woman die yesterday in front of my eyes. I saved 2 others from being trampled.
Yeah, this was and he looks a lot different back in these pictures. I'm not gonna lie, like it's nothing like, okay, visually he doesn't look like a Caucasian male in some of his other pictures. He looks a little more European or somewhere over the pond, if you will, across the pond.
And suffocated by the Capitol Police. They murdered her, tried to murder many others. This is an act of war by tyrants against the American people. American patriots died yesterday. I was shot with a lethal round. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, you get it, right? And remember.
And he was shot with rounds and stuff like that is because he was one of the few people that was actually harmed, like was there with a weapon. As I read in the AI overview, he actually was there with a weapon and was one of the agitators. And when we look into the January 6th thing, how many FBI agents did we figure out were there? Over 150 plus. And they had, they even said that there was 19 Proud Boys. He also has ties with the Proud Boys. There was also, they said there was like 12 or 19 Proud Boys or something like that. And only 2 of them were actually real people. The rest of them were FBI agents. And this is why I said from the beginning of this January 6th thing, I told people when Alex Jones is on the foot of a building telling you not to do this, it's a bad idea, you should fucking listen to him. There's a reason that Alex Jones didn't even want to participate in this bullshit because he knew what the fuck was going on.
Why was January 6th important? It was important for the establishment to get rid of Trump because they didn't want him to be able to run again because he was hard to control. Okay. Like very, very hard to control. And actually, if you look at the files of the guy whose name I am trying not to use, because that just gets videos murdered. If you read his emails, he is very unsure about what to do with the current president. One time he wants to embrace him, then they want to destroy him. They want to embrace him. It's because he's very hard to control. It's very hard to control him. Okay.
The parents of Edward Jake Lang are devoted Trump supporters. And I don't know if that would have made a big difference on his upbringing and when he was lost in drug charges for a little while. There's a pretty good chance that that could have had some bleed through.
Now, this guy being a part of what clearly was an act of trying to destroy him and destroy his political career is interesting, right? Because again, he's posing as a white nationalist. It's a bunch of white nationalists that did it, right? It's a bunch of white nationalists. But yeah, because definitely a Christian white nationalist. So here is some of his paperwork for the January 6th stuff, right? Right here, you got
and here as the official court documents say, his name is Edward Jacob Lang. For anybody was wondering why he goes by Jake Lang now, I'm not really sure, but yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't know if he's trying to cover up his name a little bit here.
It's District of Columbia. Edward Lang committed and attempted to commit act of obstruct and impede, interfere with law enforcement, yada yada yada. Count 2. You guys know the story, right? This is what they did, and he is Edward Jacob Lang. Okay. This is another part of this, and you can see this is where I pulled all of this stuff from. Right, this post we got.
Yeah, Chris, that one actually gets pretty deep. I think Erica has ties with the Miss America pageant the Ukraine or Miss Ukraine or something like that. I don't remember what it is. She has some kind of tie to some kind of beauty pageant, and that might have been her first introduction to Donald Trump, if I'm not mistaken. But I haven't dug into that one enough. like I said, this one is more recent and just came across what I've been looking at.
This post is all his January 6th stuff. Okay. He was posting this stuff himself. And there you go. He was incriminating himself very obviously. Hey, look at me. I am a big leader. I'm a guy who did Jan 6. Check me out. There you go. Right now, important that inside of documentation related to this would be what he said about his involvement in this. And I thought that I would show you guys.
Because why not get the words of the guy that actually is doing this stuff? Because I really do think he's a propagandist. And I think he's here to just do that, just sow divide, and then also grab as much attention as he can. And so far, he's been doing pretty well. If you have any Dearborn, Michigan footage, he's probably in it at some point.
This because seems rather relevant, right? So this is from Jacob Lang. Okay.
This is why I stopped shopping on Amazon, and you should too.
I'm never going to shop on Amazon. Now that you sent me this.
Currently, I am stripped of all rights, enduring horrific conditions, carrying the cross of American liberty with 40 other brave patriot brothers in the DC.
And this is another thing. And this is when he went to the anti-Muslim march or whatever the fuck he wanted to call it. He was carrying a huge wooden cross down the road. And I'm not sure why he was doing it. I don't understand what the point was, the symbology of it. But basically, that was his plan. He wants people to be convinced that he's Christian, and he's very, very much pushing this narrative. But we'll see pictures of him at what he did for his bat mitzvah.
Jail for 1 year and 6 days now. I am Jake Lang, the son of two amazing parents, the brother of an Israeli Air Force medic, the owner of multiple businesses, founder of J6 Truth, yada, yada, a child of the Most High God.
Okay, so wait a minute. Who's the Air Force medic? Was that his brother? I know his brother was involved in IDF.
Brother of an Israeli Air Force medic, parents, DC jail for 1 year and 6 days now. I am Jake Lang, the son of two amazing parents, the brother of an Israeli Air Force medic.
So yeah, so his brother was in the IDF. I don't know how you become an Israeli citizen or be part of the Israeli military without being from there. Maybe I'm mistaken about that, but yeah, that part kind of threw me off a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I don't understand why his parents are considered patriots. Like I said, they very much are into Donald Trump.
The owner of multiple businesses, founder of J6 Truth, yada, yada, a child of the Most High God. Well, I'm not sure what he means by that, but maybe we can find some other.
Well, it's another play on Christ is King and trying to divert the narrative that you are a Christian rather than what you may actually be.
Stuff that would shed some light on that, since he's a white nationalist, right? Christian white nationalist, but definitely not someone who had his bar mitzvah in Israel.
You can just, they will let you volunteer for someone like Barclay, who is Jewish, could join. I thought you actually had to be an Israeli citizen. I know they give up citizenship quite easily compared to most other places in the, yeah, I've looked into that a little bit. Also, he went through this photo a couple times and had it generated, have it checked by AI to make sure it wasn't AI generated.
The wall. Okay. And if you can't tell, this is me making sure that that's not AI. And we ran it through two different AIs, and they both said that it is genuine. Okay. And then when you look here, okay, this is from other people who had interacted with this guy and had snipped.
And I think this is the stuff that involved the modeling agency that he was running out of New York before he moved to Florida and before the January 6th stuff.
Him out, right? This is from Tim Hale, who says he's a plant. His family served in the IDF, Antifa member and BLM rioter years ago. He's a stalker, a con artist, a junkie who has been in and out of trouble his whole life, not a conservative, not a Trump supporter, and didn't even vote. Tried to snitch on the Oath Keepers. Fraud. Okay. And then down here, this is from his mom. You can see below there. And over here, this is stepmom information. Okay. So here's what I'm saying.
I think he is, man. So I think he is adjacent to a lot of those things, but not those things. That's why I said that with his parents being Trump supporters. I think he's pushing an alternative narrative. That's the only thing I can come to with this. It's definitely going to need a little more research, but
okay, I'm not trying to discredit this kid, right? My point is that who is he? And why is he pretending to be something that he's not and going around trying to start race wars? Look at this, dude. Here's social media. I'm Jake Lang modeling. She's like, you are a slam artist. I've been trying to cancel my account for months now. No one signed up for this company. Okay. John Sullivan, picture with Ray Epps. You guys know who John Sullivan is? That's for another day.
Yeah, another set of ties with Ray Sullivan, to be fair.
Okay. But this is from one of his cellmates saying that this is what Jacob Lang said. He has the same objectives as Antifa and brags about how January 6th has been a great, quote, business opportunity for him. We've been highly...
Yeah, he knows that January 6th was good for business, especially him being pardoned by Donald Trump. Then, of course, you have to be a Donald Trump cuck, because why the fuck wouldn't you be? The guy is the only reason that you're able to speak right now. And this is what I said when it gets convoluted, is because not only did we figure out the FBI involvement with January 6th, but people like this guy who is either pretending to be a white supremacist. I think he is a supremacist in some way. You just don't spout that many things all over the place and not be one. And then when it comes to, God, dude, there's so many levels with this guy. And being a Christian nationalist, he's not even, I don't think he's a Christian. There's a pretty good chance he's not a Christian.
These people aren't Trump supporters, and they don't have a conservative bone in their bodies. The only claim they have to conservatism is that they were the only claim they have to conservatism. They were arrested on January 6th. Okay. Bottom line, Jake Lang is a white nationalist who had his bar mitzvah in Israel and kissed the wall. Okay. I mean, like, that's a thing that happened. So I don't know. I mean, unless you guys think that this is a fake video. Yeah. Is this not real?
Protect the Holy Land, all dressed up, ready to go, getting ready to kiss the wall.
Is that not him? I mean, is that not Jake Lang? You know what I mean? There's your.
So we have, God, I have so many more videos here still tagged. Let me go through one. We'll go through one more video that is relevant to this as well. And this is going to tie in Cam Higsby as well. And like, I really do think Cam Higsby is tossed up into the middle of this, because he did try to separate himself from the views of this gentleman. But yeah, let's go to a tie with Cam Higsby, as well as what's going on in Florida currently.
Charged with felony hate crimes for disrupting a Muslim prayer in a parking garage at the University of Southern Florida. This is not the United Kingdom. It's not France. This is the United States of America, and in Florida, of all places. Check this out.
And when I met Cam, he was nothing but respectful, really nice guy. Didn't give me white supremacist vibes by any means. Very much, it just seemed like a regular conservative, maybe a religious conservative, maybe a Christian. But at the time, I don't even think he considered himself a Christian conservative. I think he's kind of fallen into that a little bit more recently.
charged for shouting slurs at praying Muslim students while waving bacon in Florida. 3 men stormed.
And so I did see this. I did see video clips of this. What happened was there was some people praying at a parking structure, and these guys were coming up and offering them bacon, and they were just trying to provoke them and trying to get them upset. And I do think this kind of stuff borders on freedom of speech. I don't think somebody should be able to have violence against these people because they don't agree with each other, but you're also allowed to say things that people disagree with. And it's not a call for violence. None of these guys are calling for violence. They say some provocative things like asking the guys if they have a bomb with them. It's so weird.
A University of South Florida parking garage and harassed Muslim students during a dawn prayer on Tuesday. Just look at the verbiage here. Stormed a University of South Florida parking garage. How do you storm a parking garage? They're public infrastructure. An incident captured in videos that showed the group shouting slurs, waving.
And then there was a political stunt by the people that were in the parking garage where they are trying to explain like how traumatic them having bacon was and how offended they were.
Bacon and crowding worshipers as they bowed, reports said. Police identified the men as Christopher Svochak of Waco, Texas, Richard Penkowski of Canyon, Oklahoma, and Ricardo Yepes of Tampa. All 3 faced felony counts of disturbing schools and religious assemblies under Florida's hate.
I would also like to do some more research into the connection of where Edward Jacob Lang is in Florida. And if these guys have any ties to him as well.
Crime enhancement statute, along with misdemeanor charges of disorderly conduct and disrupting school or lawful assembly. None have ties to the university, according to the police. The charges followed a multi-day investigation sparked by footage showing the men.
But yeah, these are felony charges for speech that somebody didn't like in the United States. This isn't a call for violence against these people or anything like that. They were antagonizing them. They 100% were antagonizing them. But I still think there's a balance to that.
And approaching the students during the prayer on the roof of the Collins Boulevard parking garage. One man carried a cardboard box reading Kaaba 2.0, Jesus is Lord, while another wore a thobe emblazoned with Jesus is God. Students said the group stood inches as they prayed and shouted insults, including bow down to the Lord Jesus Christ. It doesn't sound like an insult to me.
Yeah, they were just pushing their religious beliefs and trying to antagonize them. And I do think there's a separation. Like, you got to be able to say, yes, they were antagonizing these people. They were trying to get them riled up, but there was no violence from either side.
Hey, that sounds like a recommendation. And your prophet married a 6-year-old, but did he lie? Doesn't sound like a lie to me. And taunted them with bacon immediately after prayer ended, according to a Reddit post. What kind of journalism is this? Okay. Islamic dietary law.
Yeah, when your references are Reddit posts, journalism is top notch.
Prohibits the consumption of pork or any pork-derived products such as bacon. At one point, a man said, "You don't have a bomb, do you?" Now that's offensive, sure. A video uploaded to YouTube shows.
Maybe offensive, maybe kind of rude to ask somebody that, but not a threat in any way. Nor was their answer about it.
Individuals who call themselves warriors of Christ approaching the student worshipers. They walked close to our heads while we entered the bowing position, so close that I genuinely had the fear that they were going to stomp our heads. Did they say they were going to stomp your heads? If not, it doesn't sound like you have a case. Okay.
Yeah, there was no violence threatened on either side.
Added that they debated whether or not they should break prayer, saying, "We had thought our heads, do we thought in our heads, do we break prayer? Do we end the prayer and address whatever is going on?" When the worship finished, Tahir said the men zoomed their cameras on them and hurled more insults. Hurled more insults. Sounds violent, right? It's not. We have the First Amendment in the United States of America. You can say whatever the hell you want. Also, if I'm not mistaken, the University of South Florida is a public university. Is USF public? Look at that. It
Of course it is. It's a university.
is the University of South Florida.
And it's not a private university. Everybody knows, especially when it's like listed like South Florida, unless you're talking about a prestigious university that people travel all over for. Like South Florida is not like that. Like if you have like a Northern Illinois campus or a Southern Illinois campus or a Western Illinois campus, like all of those things are public. They're not specific. Usually they have a specific fields that they cover more than other things, but they're not usually private that the public can apply to.
Florida is a public university, and these gentlemen have every right to be there, even if they're not affiliated with the university. Sajid Khan, another student, said the group created this mockery of our culture and our religion, of our traditions. And it is their right. Now, would I do this? No, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't harass these students, but do these gentlemen have the right to do this? Yeah, they do. They actually do have the right to say whatever they want and protest whatever they want. And that's what this is a protest. The University of South Florida Police Department Chief Chris Daniel told WFLA TV that the department acted immediately.
And this is where I get kind of confused about it. How is it that the chief of police is able to act immediately on something that's just a verbal altercation where there was no calls to violence or call to action?
Quote, we take this incident very seriously. Our department is committed to protecting every member of our community, and we will use every available resource to ensure accountability and maintain a safe environment for all. Did I miss the memo?
You said Northwestern is actually private, so it might be different somewhere like that. Oh, okay. Good. Thank you. I needed that. I didn't know. I was always under the impression that certain like area related ones weren't actually private. But shows what I know.
I said it.
Sorry, let me skip this ad.
Does that mean you're not safe, or are you still safe? What do you mean you protect what are you protecting them from? Being offended? You don't have a right not to be offended in this country. Surely not at a public university.
Fair enough. Or at a parking structure. Regardless of the university itself, I feel like the parking structure, for whatever reason you were there.
Let's be real here, okay? Authorities told WFTS TV that all three suspects were issued a trespass warning, banning them from campus. Detectives have filed their cases directly with the Hillsborough County State Attorney's Office with additional charges under review. By the way, Hillsborough County, Florida, we're wondering, how the hell did this happen in Florida? Well, because it's Hillsborough County and it's a blue county. That's how it happened.
And I don't think that's necessarily, because it's a blue county doesn't mean that stuff like this could get away. Like, I really don't think it's a political issue at this point, because you're seeing this happen all over the place, and it's not just blue counties. This has to do, gosh, these are constitutional issues. Like when we start getting where freedom of speech isn't free anymore, and they're trying to put restrictions on speech. This is the problem I had with what's her face, Marjorie Taylor Greene or whatever the fuck. After Charlie Kirk's assassination, she was trying to push censoring certain speech, and it's just like, unless this is a call for action or celebrating the death of a political opponent or something like that, like you can really borderline on setting a precedent for changing laws to no longer to be in your favor. Because if say the Republicans change laws on speech while they're in office, what's going to happen as soon as a Democrat gets in there? They're also going to see, okay, this is the standard now. We can also change restrictions on speech. But yeah, I'm going to have to do a part 2 on this. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I got a lot going on tonight. So yeah, have fun, make babies, catch Pokemon, all that stuff.
One, 2, 3.
Jump with me, jump us with me, oh, with me, such fun. Jump with me, jump us with me, jump, oh, with me, me. Great big hip. such fun. With me, one foot cross. With me, jump. Oh, with me.
Each day is a cup. It's just like your just music each day is useful and dumb. I think we got it.
Great time on Sesame Street.
Also, Pepper Wonder 2 and 2. P-O-G. This bird is bird. This bird music each day is a dub. It's this bird is bird. This bird music each day is a dub. It's what do you think?
Well, it's not the kind of music that old Willie Shakespeare here used to write.
Oh well. Bye-bye.
Yeah.